Yeah, I'm ready.
Okay. Yeah. So I'd like to introduce Fahad bin Mohammed, an addict in recovery and a mental health advocate. I had a few questions for him because he's experienced in this field. Uh, we have mutual understandings and experiences when it comes to substance abuse and other mental health issues, and just general life skills and knowledge, wisdom. So yeah, I had 5 questions for him, and I hope you'll answer them to the best of our understanding. So, how are you, bud?
I'm fine, thank you. How are you?
I'm great. It's good to hear from
You
you.
forgot to mention that we are related.
If that's so, no, no, it is nepotism, man. You know how it is these days. But yes, we're also related, which makes this even more, you know, more deep
Yeah.
and yes, and more thoughtful. So I respect his knowledge, his wisdom, and his experience, and I know the feeling is mutual. And yeah, you can go with that now. Now you can introduce yourself. You can, you know.
Yeah, my name is Fahad bin Mohammed. I am an addict in recovery. I also am a mental health advocate. And yeah, I have lived the life of an addict for quite some time, and I've gotten to see what it entails and the effect it has on various people, those subconsciously and those that know about it and those that don't know about it. But like spreading awareness to the realities that we face is one of the few things I am passionate about. And if we can also not to, it doesn't matter the number because the statistics are not in our favor. But it would really mean a lot because I mean, there's a lot of pain and suffering out there that goes unnoticed. But if we can shed some light on it and help destigmatize the whole situation, I mean, I would have done a good job.
That's very true.
Yeah.
So yeah, let's go to the first question. Hey, this is it's a hard pill to swallow for most. I know most counselors, people in our field, but something we have to talk about because a lot of family have given up on in the process of recovery, given up on being institutionalized, being rehabilitated. They've given up on that because of the financial, you know, losses they make and the price of being in a rehabilitation center. So the first question is not even a question, but it's a topic: rehabilitation and the business side of it. Yeah, let's start.
Yeah. So first of all, we have to understand the whole concept of businesses. Businesses are out to create solutions to problems. So we're faced with the problem of addiction, and the solution has to be rehabilitation. So, in other words, it's a double-edged sword. I mean, it starts out with a good cause for most people, but you have to take into account that not everyone can run a rehabilitation center. Some end up doing more damage than they're supposed to do actually than the good they're supposed to do. So you find that people are now profiting off other people's misery simply because there is a problem in society. So that is where you have all these springing up left, right, and center. Some of them very substandard, but because people are desperate, parents are desperate, caretakers are desperate, they will have no other option but to go to these solution providers and give them their hard-earned money to provide a service they believe is going to benefit their people. But some of these people are actually out there to make money. I mean, it comes from a good standpoint that they want to help rehabilitate someone and whatsoever, but not everyone has what it takes. And people are profiting off it because, I mean, every day people are constructing more rehabilitation centers left, right, and center. And they're not cheap. They're not charging ordinary fees because, I mean, mental health is not very cheap to treat. So people are profiting off it, which is necessarily the best thing that can be done. But I mean, this life is also not charitable. You know, they are creating solutions. So at the end of the day, they also expect to earn a living. Unlike in, let me say, government institutions like Butabika, where you might get some free medical assistance, but at the end of the day, it might also not be up to standard. So the business aspect of rehabilitation centers cannot be overlooked, but yet we can also not do away with them.
Yeah, that's a wonderful answer. Yeah, from my end, like you know, go there for a purpose. Like some people go to rehabs and they end up being peered into doing other substances. Uh, Other people end up living with the stigma of, I'm not normal. I have this problem. Just go there knowing, you know what, I have to tackle this head on. Stay focused. Don't deviate. And know you first of all before you go to a rehabilitation center. You're not even self-aware. You don't even know yourself. The counselors and whatnot, even the patients you meet there, and whoever is around that institution might might, I don't know, mislead you into who you truly are, because you might go there thinking, oh, I'm an addict, when it's even more than that. Addiction was just a byproduct of maybe something else. So it's better to go there and serve a purpose. Everything is corrupt, it's like going to hospitals, schools. It's for profit, it's for profit. It's unfortunate, but it's like that. So go knowing that purpose, that, okay, it's like going to school. You're paying tuition. Yes. You go to meet friends. You go to meet strangers who might mislead you and you don't finish your degree. And who are you going to blame? You can't blame the institution. You can't blame your friends, by yourself for being weak-minded. So please know who you are. And when you go there, try to understand yourself, self-reflect. I think the number one thing I learned in being in rehab, that is a time, there's enough time, Most people are rushing. So when you're there, it's like you're taking a break from reality, a very huge pause, meaning you have enough time to self-reflect, to pick up patterns, to change your mindset. As the saying goes, time heals all wounds. So please, if you're going to go there or to tackle that, please, not to be self-aware, understand your environment, yourself, where you come from, and don't be misled by people or the patients there, or even the counselors might say you're this, yet you're not that. So be more self-aware, and it will be easier, smoother ride and journey. But everything is corrupt, and it's unfortunate we're in a third world country. Corruption is, what Africa is, especially for rehabilitation centers, and we're in Uganda. Alcohol, all these things are coming around, class A, recreational drugs, like it's deep. And there's always someone looking at that, like, you know what? How can I benefit? Let me do this, let me erect this rehab here, there, let me have branches here and there. Yes, they would want to help, but you have to help yourself. You do 80% of the work. Even the counselors tell you that, like, it's you, it's your mindset. No, I have a problem, because if you're forced into that center or into any sort of therapy, it won't work. You have to be committed. Accept. That's the first step in, like, the AA. Accept you're powerless. Once you accept, things will be easier, and you'll be more open-minded. Empty your cup. Be a good listener. Learn things like that. Most of us, like, for instance, when I speak for myself, I was very indisciplined. And that's the main problem for all these things. Now I'm just learning to be more disciplined, and it has helped me. So addiction, why I say to, experiment on other drugs, because I didn't have that discipline like another kid. Like, what? In class, they said this is bad, this will lead to that. I'm like, no, forget about what they're saying. I assume I know. So let me do it. And I do it and I end up, astray. So I'm learning to be more disciplined. And that's because I became more self-aware. So to cut that story short, I think we've answered that. You can go to the second one. why Western ways of therapy don't work for Africans? That's a very deep question, but let me see if you can try to elaborate on that.
The Western type kind of therapy.
Yeah,
Well, we need to put it in context that those worlds are very developed. Well, I won't say very, but they are way more developed than us in terms of healthcare, and especially mental health care. So you have situations where there's even a process to being rehabilitated in those developed countries. I mean, you go through detox, there's a waiting period, and I mean, it's your own will. They will not force you 100% to be there. When you feel like you've had enough, you can always step out, which is not the case here in Africa. Here it is 100% confinement. Once they have you and you're inside, it's over. You get, so you're dancing to their tune. And
yeah,
the aftercare programs, you see, one of about rehabilitation is aftercare. What we don't have, I think there are like, I think 2 rehabilitation centers, 3 that actually, let me just say like 2, including Butabika, that offer aftercare services. And this is a very, very, very huge thing in regards to recovery. Because when you are in rehabilitation, especially in these African settings, Uganda in particular, you're confined, you're just restricted, it's abstinence. But the real journey starts the moment you leave. The moment you leave rehab, that is when, I mean, the sobriety ticker starts. That is when the real struggle comes in. But the reality we're faced with is once you leave the rehabs in Uganda, you're on your own. It's just you and whatever. Hopefully, if you're in a good enough rehab where you had counselors and psychologists and psychiatrists who try to do a somewhat good job to help the situation to get an equal footing, you'd be somehow empowered. But yet again, you're faced with the challenge of now the real world, where in the Western world, you'd have these people checking up on you, you'd have support systems, very well developed Alcoholics Anonymous and Narcotics Anonymous meetings, where I mean, you do 90 meetings in 90 days, you would have a support system, a group of people who are going through the same condition as you, and you keep on sharing. But in Uganda, that is not the reality. The moment you leave rehab, you're back to that setting, your family setting, your work setting, basically the same setting that had a role to play in you ending up in rehabilitation. Because in third world countries, especially in Uganda, by the time you end up in rehabilitation, then you have really become dysfunctional. You have started doing things that are raising eyebrows, and there's need to intervene in your life. So when they take you back into this, there's no support. There's no one to help you maneuver. There's no system in place that helps you manage these triggers. You have very few confidence. You have no professional help. Maybe if you're lucky, you may have 1 or 2 counselors still in your life, but you're all alone and you're back to this same setting that contributed to your mental breakdown and your lack of mental resources to move on with life. So what you find yourself doing is getting back to these same people that are also partly sometimes sick, and they do not know, they partly do not understand what you're going through and how to handle you. So in most cases, you have 97% of the people living rehabilitations relapsing because, I mean, there are no facilities in place. But in third world in developed countries, they have structures and systems in place that enable you survive and thrive even when you have left these rehabilitation centers. And the care they provide in these developed countries is far beyond what we can comprehend. I'll not say far beyond, but very few rehabilitation centers in Uganda can emulate what those developed countries have to offer us, because the level of psychiatry, the level of psychology, the level of addiction treatment and knowledge that they have gathered and harnessed all through these years has enabled them know how to handle addicts. But in Uganda, there are very few people that are actually trained to handle addicts. I mean, there's general counseling and what this and not, but very few people actually have the knowledge and capacity to handle addicts. So even in these rehabilitation centers, the care that they are giving is different. And what we're doing is trying to copy and paste, but we're not copying the right mechanisms. We are not copying the right tools, the right knowledge, the right methods. And that is why at the end of the day, you find most of these people not actually failing to recover. They live in a loop of relapse. And that is why we need to, in my view, we need to develop systems based on African realities. I don't know how far this is. I think we have a counselor, a therapist, Confidence Asimwe, who is trying very hard to infiltrate that kind of theology and psychiatry in Uganda, where, I mean, we base it on our norms and values and our history, because you need to remember that we're all different people. The West and us are a bit different. I mean, the disease is more or less the same in its characteristics, but we need systems based on our African reality that is not entirely based on Western realities. I mean, we need to learn more from them, very much more from them. But yet again, we also need to develop systems that we need to learn the good that the West is doing, and also be realistic, because 97% of the people, even in developed countries, relapse. So your chances in an African setting of being successful may seem grim, but that 3%, 1%, whatever it is hope for any addict out there to recover, if only they have the will and God's divine intervention. So that is what I have to say about this, because very many people are trying to adopt this Western setting, but you get AA books and come and think because you have an AA book, you can open up a rehab and help someone achieve sobriety. That doesn't work for us here. We need something that is more organic, real, more, as I can put it in less words. We need more addicts doing this kind of work, because I mean, when you have these people who are theoretical and whatnot, deal with things they have even never experienced, it makes it a bit difficult to come to a level footing. But I mean, if you have more addicts engaged in mental health care, I mean, educating them more and trying to empower them, I believe we'll have better mental health care.
Yeah, well spoken and well articulated. Yes, I share the same principles, you the same thoughts. Like, there are places I've been to, visited, rehabs I've been in as a patient, and I look around, I'm like, this is not healing. I don't see any hope in this. Like, I'm looking at concrete, I'm looking left, right, every corner. I'm looking at the nurse, psychiatrist. I'm looking at the owner. I'm like, these people are not even happy. So what are you trying to sell to me? It's like going to church, you know? Okay, it might be so costly. I believe seeing greenery, seeing some plants, seeing something alive, not that just concrete, looking at books, looking around. You can't even jog. You can't do stuff. You're not free. You don't have free will. You're like a prisoner, the prison setting. I understand some patients are violent when they first come. I understand all that. But they should separate the people like in their third month, second month, and first month, and first 2 weeks. There should be a separation, not like piling us in the same place on the same boat. Come on. There needs to be more structure. Like they should not go off topic like a teacher, you know? These days, and because there's so much information, you're going to listen to it. Okay, let's go back to high school. Your business econ teacher, and he's telling you about business, but he's not business oriented, meaning he crammed everything he learned. So are you really going to pay attention to that teacher? No, because you don't stand what you're talking about. You don't represent commerce or entrepreneurship. You're just talking about it. The same with some of these counselors, some of these people who are in the rehabilitation center, some of these therapists. Like, I don't shun anyone who studied this, but why did you study this? You studied this to help. You have service. It's going to traumatize. It's not the very, very, how can I say, glorified occupation. You're of service. You're healing people. You're healing as you heal an individual. You're healing a nation. See it as that. That's why I love confidence so much. Because she really cares about what she's doing. She cares about the individual. It's not about status. Oh, I've helped so and so and so. What are the statistics of the people I've helped and recovered? It's not about numbers. It's about genuine help. And also saying the family is struggling because addiction is a relapsing disease. That one is, trust me, even the people who claim they've been sober for 10 years, they have lapsed, they have relapsed, it's about how bad was it. If I sorted it out in 1 week, let me not count that. Let me wipe that off. Let me continue with my 10-year streak. It's all about status. So even when it comes to recovery, people, it's all about, you want that, what they call that 1 year thing. It's okay, what not? It's one day at a time. That's the spiritual gift. So the approach has to be different. The rehabs I go to is like a prison. The others that are so good, but then that's over, shadowing the work that's going in the center. And it's unfortunate, but the rehabs want you to relapse. They want long, and I want to say, I'm not going to say long life customers, but they want, familiar faces because now they can handle you because they know you or they have your file, whatnot. So they're in the business of relapse. So that's what we should know. We should not really confide in them so much. Like if you're there, if you really messed up, you know, go there, sort yourself out. It doesn't have to be 90, 180 days, 60, 30 days, even 2 weeks. Break a habit is 21 days. To build a habit is 21 days. To break a habit, 21. That's why most of these rehabs abroad is 21, 28 days. Because the reality is the world won't change. It's you has to change your mindset. So if you're there for a long period, let's say 6 months, things have shifted, things have moved, people have moved on, people have forgotten about you. It's only you who's worried about you because it's your life. Your counselor cannot understand that, not even your sponsors or relatives. Only you know, okay, I've been on pause for this X amount of time. I need to get going. And that's your problem, no one else's problem. We can only imagine, but we're not in your position to understand. So you get so comfortable with being, doing nothing. I'm not saying when you're in rehab, you're doing a lot of things, but there's everyone has that cycle, you know, and time that I feel like I'm good to go. And once that feeling is there, this rehab should be open. Also, like there should be a suggestion, like what, I've done 2 months. I feel like I should go out for a week and sort out my issues. And if I feel like I need to finish my days, I'll come back. It should not be a prison because once you see it as that, you see there's no hope. And I've seen so many who relapse because of that mindset. Once they're in that rehab an institution, there's that mindset that, oh, we're locked up. I can't wait to be free. And how do you celebrate freedom? By drinking and smoking. It's unfortunate, but that's what it is. Let's go to the third question, which resonates with the second. Why the holistic approach of recovery works best and is more effective? You can start.
And first of all, we need to understand from your context what is the holistic approach. In what context are we bringing?
Holistic means, not so much pharmaceutical. Okay, class A, you go through withdrawals, yes, but I've literally, let me give myself as an example. Like, yes, I was doing class A drugs. So, okay, I check in, I'm going through withdrawals. My withdrawals are not so bad, like 3 days, but then they pump me, they give me like 6 or 11 pills, you know? And now I start getting hooked to them slowly by slowly. Not all rehabs, not all of them will cut you off. They're supposed to cut you off, I think, third week. So I don't believe in that. I don't believe in you like, okay, yes, you smoke cannabis, okay, take this, that. I'm not going to mention the medicine because you're aware of them, but I believe so. Like, okay, the first, it depends on your situation, how you came. If you came calm, willing, they should not put you maybe the first 3 days because sleep is an issue and maybe appetite. Maybe the first week, but not the whole 3 months. And when you're going out, they still give you medicine. Like, you know what, you still need this for your whatever because of what you were using. If it's not liver, kidney related, things like that, where they have to regenerate and recover, I don't believe that you being fed pills is going to help you. What you need is you need to eat healthy, need to learn how to exercise if you have not been doing so. You need to train your brain. You need to get back to routine and understand that food is the number one medicine. Like you need to eat, really eat. Whatever you're reading, whatever you're eating, whatever you're viewing, whatever you're thinking will determine who you are. I don't believe in pharmaceuticals, you know. I know people who are still under medication till now. They left rehab like 2 years ago, but they're still. I don't understand that. So we try and make sense. I don't want to talk too much. So that's the holistic approach I'm meaning. Focusing on the diet. Yeah.
Well, so there are two scenarios here. There is God willing, and by God's grace, your family has the resources to take you to a rehabilitation center that offers some kind of quality treatment where you'll have a psychiatrist, psychologist, a counselor all to your disposal. They have the medication, they have the workouts, they have the good feeding, they have the those rehabilitations we are talking about. They're like two in the country. They're not many. So, but if you are a bit unlucky and you end up on the other side of the coin, where the price of the rehabilitation is low, you will end up noticing you're deprived of certain amenities and services. You may not have a counselor at your you may have a counselor at your disposal. That one most rehabilitations have, but you may not have access to a psychologist and a psychiatrist every day that you're begging and calling. You may not be eating well. You may not have